Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this episode of the We Connect podcast. In today's episode, we will be covering a very interesting topic: breaking boundaries and how Sumati goes global. I'm your host, Raul Rivera, CEO and founder of Sumati, and I am thrilled to have you join us today in this exciting journey. For this episode, we have invited none other than our Director for Global Business Partnerships, Melvin Simon, whose career spans several years in sales, which he has excelled in diverse industries. Melvin is an executive professional who possesses an innate ability to connect with customers on a personal level. He goes beyond surface level interactions to comprehend the customer's unique challenges and requirements. And by adopting a customer-centric approach, Melvin offers a tailored solutions that customers are really attracted to. His keen insight and persuasive communication skills allow him to highlight value propositions that customers may not have previously considered, enabling them to achieve their goals more effectively. So, how are you, Melvin, today? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you for such a nice introduction. Thank you for having me here and for giving me the opportunity to talk and discuss a little bit about this trajectory we've had with Sumati and since it's the beginning and its growth and how we've managed to evolve as a startup and where we're heading in the future years. So thank you for having me and inviting me.
Thank you, Melvin. On the contrary, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to interview one key executive of Sumati who's driving the strategy of expansion of a startup, right? So I have a couple of questions, Melvin, that are going to guide us through the conversation. So let's just get started. I'd like to ask you, how can you share with us the motivation behind the need to expand outside of our parent company, Laureate, which is an education institution? What are your thoughts around that?
Oh, Raul, I love this question because I tell people that Sumati began as an upside company, and I'll give you a little bit more context. Being Sumati part of Laureate Education and having Laureate universities all over the world, it was an in-house one of Laureate's universities in South America that decided to start going completely online. That was a trend, and this is before the COVID pandemic hit. So this is back in 2018, 19, around that time, and they said we need to start implementing a proctoring solution because we're going online, we're going hybrid. We need to take care of integrity of our students, and this is the people that are graduating. This is the people that are getting the degrees, that are going into the job force, and they need to make sure that when they got their diplomas, when they got the certificate, they really deserved and owned it. And that's where they started requesting some kind of a proctoring solution. So then internally with the L&I department of Laureate based out of Honduras, they started researching and investigating what options could be given to this one particular institution that started requesting proctoring. And they started noticing that the proctoring solutions that were out there were outdated, were old, they were not investing, and they were more directed to mature markets, not emerging markets like we have in the town currently. They were one canned product. Here, this is what we can give you if you want to take it. If not, So that's when Sumati, let's do something in-house. And we started working for this institution. Sumati started to come up and develop. Then when we were ready to test Sumati with this institution, it was sold. So then immediately another institution in Peru raised their hand and said, hey, we are willing to try Sumati. We're willing and open to do it. And we started testing Sumati there. Then we got it, this university told other universities. We started, testing Sumati. And then obviously, we know what happened in 2020, which is COVID hits. Everybody started making that shift for online universities. In Latin America, we're not ready. No, I don't think anybody in the world was ready for going completely in an online mode. I mean, there's some specialty universities that are like that, but but not all of them. And then they decided we need software for this, we need for plagiarism, etc. And then we got multiple phone calls. Somebody didn't even have a structure, a commercial structure, customer success management, nothing. I mean, it was a product, it was developers wearing multiple hats at the same time and trying to fulfill this need that was going on because of COVID. Then we had this great big opportunity with the government of Colombia, which took us completely by surprise. And then that's when corporate decided and said, you know what, we believe in Sumadi, we believe in what you can do, we believe in the flexibility and the opportunity you're bringing out, the solution you're bringing out to this institutions. And they gave the green light, and that's when Sumadi started, Raul, to become the startup that it is today. That's when Sumadi started to create the different departments that we have. So that's why I tell the story, and I love it because it was really an upside down. We started selling, we started with clients, and then we started realizing, hey, there is a real opportunity out there, but let's give it a shape. Let's make it a real company, and all the different departments started being created, and this is where we are today. And I love the story of Sumadi and how it began.
Well, thank you, Melody. You just described very succinctly what the journey of a startup is, right? And the different. You mentioned a few countries there. All of them are different markets. You talked about emerging markets and mature markets, and also, I see that you've learned a lot while you've been with Sumadi for I think already a couple of years, right? So, given all the context that you just mentioned, the ecosystem of a startup, the nature of a startup, and tapping or knocking into the doors of different types of markets, what opportunities or challenges do you see in those markets, right? In the markets that we are we're trying to connect with, or that we have already engaged with. What are the opportunities and challenges that are a highlight from your perspective as a director of Sumadi?
Well, Raul, when we started noticing the opportunities, let's begin with the opportunities first, and then we go to the challenge, because obviously they come side by side. We started noticing that there wasn't really a product for emerging markets, for markets that had connectivity issues, equipment issues, language. The language was also an issue back then. Universities didn't really understand in Latin America, which is one of our main backyards and one of our priority markets. Universities really didn't understand how a solution like proctoring, like Sumadi, could come and help them and fill that void. How are they going to reduce cost? We saw the opportunities of bringing them something more flexible, something that can work with the internet bandwidth that they had, was going to really make a difference for them. So then we saw that we had key partners. There were some key partners that already knew the business. There was an opportunity to work with them together in order to expand and go into all the Latin American market. So we saw a lot of opportunities regarding support that they were not being given. Then I remember talking to mature markets like in the United States, and having conversations where they would say, "Oh, a proctoring company, a proctoring solution, is it going to be another glitch? Am I going to become another ticket?" People were not happy. So we really saw an opportunity of giving them that flexibility, really sitting down, listening to them, and creating a product that was really going to help them with their aches, with their needs, with their pains, etc., and really be different than what was already there. So those are some of the opportunities that we saw, and that we knew that we can really succeed and transform the concept of proctoring, not only for emerging markets but for more mature markets. Now, regarding challenges, one of the biggest challenges here was our name, our brand, our recognition. Who is Sumadi? Where does Sumadi come from? How do we trust Sumadi? You got to keep in mind that for many institutions, and I'm not only talking about universities, I'm talking about governments, I'm talking about certification centers, etc., making the decision of integrating a new software partner, a new technology or something like that. It's not an easy decision. It's not a decision that's going to be made in weeks. It's not a decision that is just going to be like, oh, here, another one. I'm changing straws in the cafeteria. It's not like that. So making sure that we could give them sufficient confidence in trusting Sumari was a big challenge. I mean, at this point, Sumari was known a lot in Latin America, in certain countries, but giving them that security was key. Then, part of our strategy has been or is our business partners. Our business partners, which are a complete extension of what we give. So, how do we convince these business partners to put Sumari in their portfolio? Why would they trust Sumari? How are we going to give them a good return on investment on getting their sales stuffs ready, on getting their name out there? Remember that once you become a partner, it's an extension of your name. It's not only partner A by itself, it's partner A and Sumari. So sitting down with partners and making them realize that we bring something different to the table, making them realize that we as a whole company, we're gonna be there for them, giving the support, giving them training, giving them a good return on their investment. Again, I mentioned it before, has been key for us. Also, another challenge has been pricing. If you think about it, what works in the US and Canada and mature markets is not necessarily going to work in Latam. So that has been crucial to understanding that we have more limited budgets here in this region. So really trying to separate those pricing strategies where has been a challenge. Adapting to regulations, Raul, has been key for us. To give you an example, Europe as a whole, they comply on GDPR. And it's very different when you have a company that says we are GDPR compliant to having a company like Sumari yesterday that says we are GDPR certified. So there were multiple challenges that we came across. Even to give you an example, the lack of understanding of what we were doing in Latin America was key, to the point where even faculties thought for some reason that Sumari was going to do the jobs, and that's not it. Then, so preparing staff, preparing faculties, students to understand how Sumari works, what Sumari does, has been a big challenge, but we have learned throughout the process, and that's where we are today. We're very happy because it's been growing together with partners, with customers, with end users, and as a company as a whole. So those are some of the opportunities and challenges we've faced throughout.
Thank you, Melvin. I mean, thank you for being so thorough. I think you just described really how different, being a salesperson in a net tech that sells software opportunities in education, how different that is to other industries. You talked about the many opportunities that we have, also in terms of flexibility and also using the internet. But you also mentioned very succinctly, important challenges that we all face, and particularly you have learned to go over or work around as challenges. Like brand awareness, that you said. As a startup, that's one of the toughest things that we also always have to tackle. Nobody knows us, nobody knows the brand. How do you create trust and brand recognition, right? Business partnerships. How do you build a network of partners from zero, right? And those have been just two of the challenges that you have had to actually face, right? As a sales executive here at Sumari, right? You talked about budget, you talked about pricing, you talked about how that differs from a emerging market versus a already mature market. So I think that you just portrayed, and I felt exactly how you have been feeling throughout these years working as an executive in sales for a startup. So thank you for sharing your experience. Given everything that you just said, Melvin, I'd like to ask you, how did you determine the viability and readiness of each of those markets that you mentioned for proctoring solutions. Can you speak a little bit about that, please?
Oh, Raul. Yeah. Um, we did a lot. We had a very systematic approach, Raul. We focused on a lot of market research, understanding the markets that we were gathering. We worked with a lot of consultants. We worked with Gartner, for instance. We worked together with Gartner, trying to understand what markets should be our priority, what markets are ready for Sumari, and a lot of research about the needs, the differences. I remember when we came up with our strategy, very focused, prioritizing the market one, which was North America and South America, and how to divide. And I considered this our backyard, very strategic in trying to set ourselves as on the top of mind of our clients, and with a lot of market research, and making sure that our strategy was focused for those markets. Very, very different researches, very different approaches. That's the correct word. I'm sorry. Approaches to a mature market, to a emerging market. So we did a lot of extensive research. Then something very important that we did was do a competitive analysis. Where do we stand right now? What are we offering right now? What do we need in order to succeed in a particular market? That was very, very important. We realized that the products and the features that we had at a certain point or a certain time were not sufficient to enter a more mature market. This competitive analysis helped us understand, if we want to really get into that market, we need to make sure we bring out different features. And that's something I love about Sumari. When you mentioned coming from a completely different industry, I've been over 2 years now in Sumari, going into EdTech. It's really made me, it's been, one thing after another, and quickly evolving, quickly changing, quickly adapting. Those were helped us get ready for those markets. Also, another important aspect has been collaborating and sitting down with our partners, understanding, hearing them out, telling us, this region needs this region is lacking this. What happens if we don't have electricity? Issues like that, sitting down with in the United States and Canada, and saying our partners being more strategic partners. Not only Sumari coming in with our proctoring solutions, but being able to bring a voucher company with us, bring in a plagiarism company with us. So those are different, approaches, completely different, but they're still focused on our priority one market, which is, like I said at the beginning, North and South America, including Central America. So it's a lot of work, it's a lot of analysis, a lot of research, a lot of working with consultants, buying reports, informing yourself, sitting down with possible customers, listening to your customers has been key to determining the readiness of those markets for Sumari, Raul. It's been quite a journey, I would say.
I think, Melvin, that you just described an experience of constant learning, right? Where you talked about how we as a company, as Sonati, we're constantly learning about markets, right? And how market research has been so relevant and important towards determining the strategy, right? That is one, particularly in B2B models. So that's one. And then you also alluded to how important it is to maintain a constant communication with your partners in different territories, right? And how you want to keep that as recurrent as possible, so that you have a constant understanding of how the market evolves, and and because that is something that is happening really fast around the world, right? So, Melvin, given those insights, can you provide some highlights on key lessons or insights that you have gained from the experience of entering an international market?
Well, Raul, I mean, regarding insights or key lessons, there's so many. I mean, they're very valuable. They're very they've helped us shift into the right direction. And I would say one of the key experiences or lessons that we've learned has been understanding our markets. Like I said, and I've mentioned before, um, establishing different techniques or different strategies according to the market is crucial for, we learn a little bit on the hard way, I would say, trying to enter the US market. We try to implement what was working for Latam for the US market, and we realized quickly and fast that we needed to do some shift, as we needed to change. For instance, we discovered that for the North American market, we actually had to have a sales team or sales executives for that region, that it was not going to be able to operate from our headquarters here in Honduras. And then, taxes, regulations. That's why key partners are very, very crucial. We have countries where they have very strict regulations regarding how you can invoice them, how you can sell, regulations regarding information, where you have to host the information or the clouds. Remember, we're a SaaS company, so we had to comply with those regulations. We had to open services, for instance, for Europe, working with Cambridge University, working with universities in Spain, with the testing of Cambridge Assessment Centers. We had to have a hosting facility within Europe. So, it's been key. It's been important for us to really learn from these experiences, and then, being flexible, being very, very flexible as a company for the different markets that you want to attend. And I'm not talking about only regions. I'm talking about the type of customer at the end that you have, because Sumari has grown not only into universities, not only into certification centers, but right now Sumari is being used by governments in different, obviously in different countries and different areas of the world. Also by certification by corporate human resources. So being able to be flexible enough and how to adapt Sumari to those different needs and to those different types of situations has been very, very helpful for us, and has helped us expand and really fulfill the wants and needs that our customers are getting from Sumari, and making us successful as we are today.
So Melvin, staying in that same question, because you said many things. Is it okay to understand that, for instance, in mature markets like in the United States and maybe Europe, where it's really important to comply with regulation, right, on data protection and data privacy and security, right? While that is also important in emerging markets are more inclined to decision making or adopting technologies based on quality and ease of adoption. Would that be correct from what you just said, Melvin, when you compare the two main regions where Sumari is?
Absolutely, Robert. Absolutely. Yes, the ease of use. Like I said at the beginning, being able to sit down with customers, being able to sit down with your partners to listen to the customers, and hearing we want a software that's easier to use. We want less clicks. Those are words that you got to keep in your head, and then you bring it up to your product team, and being able to sit down with product and sharing your experiences and sharing what the market is telling you, and then product understanding, okay, this is what we need to do, because product cannot be on its own. I mean, you gotta work together in order to accommodate and to really call yourself a flexible company, to really set yourself aside from competitors, and really gives the extra mile is listening and adapting to the wants and needs depending on the region that you are. So definitely the ease of use has been key for us in Latin America, and more on the features and more robust solution for the more mature markets that we have in the United States or Canada or Europe.
Well, thank you, Melvin. I think that you just called out two very important aspects or principles of Somali. One is, how we are very compliant with regulations, right? So talking about like GDPR, ISO 27001, and others, that are important for more mature markets. Plus, also, how can we come with a very promising user experience that allows ease of use to customers in emerging markets. I think that keeping those things in mind are very important for startups like us, right? So moving forward, Melvin, I was thinking about one thing that you mentioned in the previous question about communication being so important, to be established and maintained with business partners, right, around the world. So can you tell us a little bit about how did you approach, the forging of these relationships and collaborations in new markets, and also what strategies did you use and you want to continue using to enable and build trust and credibility?
Yeah, Raul, regarding strategies and how to, you know, like we were discussing earlier, that brand awareness, making partners trust somebody wasn't easy. And like you mentioned, we had to establish some strategies, very specific strategies in order to allow partners to really trust us. And one specific strategy was networking and relationship building. We started, it was connected with our brand awareness strategy. And because at the end, it's not only putting Sumari on the end user, but also allowing Sumari to create new partnerships, to create new relationships, which will allow for Sumari to expand. So we did a lot of networking, a lot of networking. We participated in events. We were invited to be guest speakers. We did some seminars, etc. And we, together with our brand recognition strategy, we were working them out. And also, Raul, very important for us was our technological partners. And we haven't talked about our technological partners until this point, but they were key because they were looking at what we were doing as a company. They saw that we were different. They saw that we were establishing firm ground and creating something that hadn't been seen in the proctoring solution in many, many years. So those technological partners starting connecting us with commercial partners. And they started coming out and say, hey, look, I think you guys should be good with a partner here and a partner there. And they started introducing us. And then in the events, it started working out. Also, we look for very strategic alliance. We have to be very strategic, making sure those partners had the right markets that we were pursuing, had the right connections. I mean, we're talking about who is our main clients, who are we, bringing proctoring or bringing Sumari forward. So we had to make sure that those partners had our same vision, had the connections, were in the edtech industry, knew the market, were very well established, had the capacity to connect with Sumari and give Sumari the time he needs to understand it, to really work with us together. And that was very, very, very important for us. Those strategic alliance and making sure that they had the same values and principles that Sumari was establishing in the market. And last but not least was communication. Being able to really be transparent about what we can offer, what are our limits, where we can go, pricing, command of the same message, command the message. It's very important for us, making sure that our partners can explain Sumari and can show Sumari the same way that if they were working in Sumari like we do right now. So those three key elements, networking, strategic alliances, and communication Those are the three pillars for us in order to approach and to establish new partners for Sumari, and they've worked so far. And we have a great set of not only technological partners, strategic partners, but commercial partners that share the same passion as we do internally in Sumari. And we are very, very excited about having them with us.
It's very interesting, Melvin. You mentioned something that has actually allowed us to be successful. You mentioned the union between tech and business partners, right? How in these day and age, in the tech industry or in an ed tech startup, reality, those two need to come together: technology partners and business partners, right? And I think you were alluding to AWS, of course, right? As
Yes.
a tech partner, and and it's true to say that AWS has allowed us other partnerships. Like the engagement with Cognos, right? We saw how those two, AWS and Cognos Online in South America, how they came together and helped us, serve as many customers, particularly in the public sector and in the country of Colombia, particularly, right? Do you have any other examples, Melvin, of other partners that you want to call out that have made a significant impact in the success of Somali?
Absolutely, Raul. I mean, I appreciate our business partners so much. I think they're great. I think we have the best of the best out there. But also, Raul, I forgot to mention some of this commercial partners, like you were mentioning, Cognos. They have been able to connect us with partners in other areas, in other regions where they're not our priority markets. Where I mentioned that we were going to grow organically, and we have partners now in the Middle East. We have partners in Europe. We have partners in China. We are about to close another partner in Japan, and these partners have come to us because they've seen what Somali's been doing, and also because when we do networking, when we go to an event, when we go to some kind of event, like I was mentioning, they get to talk to each other because they represent some of the same, LMS or plagiarism tool or data, etc. So they talk and they say, "Look, I'm working with Sumari. I need a practical solution. Oh, I'm working with Sumari. You should contact them. I'll introduce you." And that's how we've managed to expand a lot of our partners, even in markets that are not a priority for us at once. So it's been quite nice because that means that we are doing our job. That means that they are happy with us. That means that they trust in Sumari and that they're benefiting from having Sumari in their portfolio, which at the end of the day enriches them to have to be more robust and to be able to close deals with multiple customers at once. So it's been quite a story with our business partners. So
That's a great story, Melvin. You just described how we are focusing on priority territories like North America and then Latin America, and how also we have seen organic growth in other territories just because other partners are recommending us in their regions and territories, right? Or also how the internet and the presence that we've built online has actually allowed people to get to know a little bit more about us, right? So I think it's a great job what we have been doing and what you have been doing with the rest of the team in terms of the brand awareness, which at the beginning of the podcast you mentioned was one of the challenges that startups face all the time, right? So how would you say, Melvin, that Sumari's presence in all these markets, as you described it before, has contributed to the overall growth and impact that we're creating around the world?
I'm sorry, Raul, can you repeat that last part again?
So I just said, given how you described that the ecosystem of partners has grown organically in many territories, not only in priority territories. How would you say that the Somali presence in these markets, around the world, has contributed to the growth of the company overall and the impact that we have in the world?
Oh, Raul, they a lot of market diversification. I mean, expanding into those markets has allowed for Somali to obviously expand its market share, has allowed for Sumari to realize, once again, to be able to serve them in their own native language, to be able to have readiness 24/7, because now we're talking about different regions in the world where Sumari is located, and they have, obviously different time zones. So they have been key. They have been key in order for allowing us to grow. Even with features, even with services, even with customer success departments, they have been very, very crucial to our growth, and they have made us a more solid company. They have helped us with brand and name recognition throughout, and it's been quite a story of having them look for us, having them contact us, and having them wanting to represent Sumari. But like I said, we need to make sure that these partners are targeting the same markets, these same opportunities, which is key for us in order to be able to really serve and expand. And also another very important thing, Raul, is when we started Sumari, we started focusing on universities, on education, and some testing centers. Remember when we talked about Cambridge assessment centers, but then expanded, we realized we were limiting ourselves as a company. We were limiting ourselves, our product. We were limiting our product to only certain markets. And then we realized that we had an opportunity to expand Sumari into corporations, into governments, certain entities for lawyer associations, for accounting associations. Sumari is being used even for driver license exams, human resources, amazing department where you have people apply, hundreds, 500, thousands of people applying for jobs, and they were not really saying, being honest in their applications. And then somebody comes in and creates this funnel for human resources. So it's been quite a journey, with our partners, being able to enter different segments, different markets that we were not at the beginning visualizing as a company. And still today, we are finding more and more usage for Sumari, thanks to our partners, thanks for the opportunities, thanks for sitting down with them and really talking and having open conversations about where else can we play Sumari? What else can we do with Sumari? So it's been very important for us, the contribution that our partners have brought to us, allowing to expand our customers and our base, and helping us grow as Sumari.
Thank you, Melvin. We're getting close to the end of the podcast right now, and I'd like to ask one last question, Melvin. Given your experience as a commercial executive in a net tech, what advice or recommendations would you give to other startups that also are considering an international expansion? We've been through this, you and I and other people. We have been going through this adventure for quite a while already, and we have a lot of lessons learned. But from your perspective, as a commercial executive, what would be some key recommendations that you would give to others that are also starting up as companies with an approach on a global scale?
Thank you for this question, Raul. I really, really love this question. I think, like you mentioned, the journey, the adventure. This has been an adventure, and I think if I had the opportunity and I could go to any university, to any master's program, and just tell the students there that there's nothing like experience itself, it would be one of the things that I can give back to society. And pinpointing, giving you some exact recommendations or factors. I would say one, strategy. Be very, very, very strategic. Sit down, do your research, do your market analysis. What are you offering? make sure that you, as a company, as a whole, and more important, as your commercial department, make sure that you believe 100% on what you're doing. Make sure that you know that what you are offering is better, is going to change people's lives, whether, we're talking about students right now or universities. Make sure that it's going to make their life easier. Know your audience, know who you're talking to. Remember that one of our biggest customers, again, is going back to universities, going back to governments, going back to corporations. This is very well educated people. Know that what you are telling them, they can gather information immediately. So make sure that what you are telling them makes sense and it's honest and it's true. At the end of the day, your clients, and I'm not only talking about end users here, I'm talking about your business partners, because your business partners believe in you. Make sure that you have very straightforward, very clear communications. Um, Make sure that when you're also implementing your strategy, which you need to stick to it. If you're a startup, you need to make sure that if this is your strategy, you're going to stick to it and you're going to follow through, and you're going to make sure, don't go shifting, don't go bouncing around, because you're not going to last very long. But you need to be very strategic about, and make sure that don't try to implement what works in one market and just replicate it in another market. I guarantee you it's not going to work. There's different needs, there's different interests, there's different opportunities, there's different capacities, not only economically, socially. You have different, so you need to adapt, you need to be very flexible. Another important key aspect is listening. Listening when you go to events, when you sit down with a possible customer, when you sit down with a partner, listen. You gotta learn to listen. You have no idea how many things have helped Sumati when we come out with a new feature. It's not because our director of product, and I say hello to Francisco today and all his team, an amazing team, as well as all the other ones in Sumati. They didn't wake up one day and said, today we're gonna come out with a second camera. Today we're gonna come out with video. Today we're going to come out with live proctoring. That doesn't work. They come up with those things because we listen. We sit down with the clients. We understand their wants. Again, I repeat, their pains, their what's not being fulfilled by another proctoring solution, what they're not really getting. Listen to them and bring it to the table. And that's going to be your whole sales strategy there immediately. That's going to turn into, I'm fixing your problem. So listening to the customers is key. Be very flexible. You need to be, as a company, flexible. We live in a very fast changing, fast paced world right now. If you're not ready to adapt, to change, and to become and to fulfill what the market is telling you, you're going to be out. And this has been key for Sumati, Raul, because if we as a company were not flexible enough and ready to adapt, we wouldn't be entering a mature market like the United States and Canada. So that has to be one of the key aspects of that I would give up today. And last, I would say the message as a company, as a whole. You all need to speak the same language. You all need to have the same ideals. You cannot have one part of the company preaching out something and then another part of the company preaching out a completely different story. No, you need to come as a whole. They need to see you as a whole. And I'm not talking about the commercial department within a company. I'm talking about the company as a whole. Operations, customer success, you as our CEO. Very important that we all have the same speech, the same ideals, the same principles, and the same values in order to be very successful. I know we're running out of time, but I think those would be my key points to give out to any other startup that would be looking into getting out there.
Thank you so much, Melvin. Thank you so much. You express yourself with a lot of passion. You're reflecting one of the key values that we have in the company, which is that the passion and believing in what we do. You mentioned another very key and important aspect of us, which is we are united, following the same ideas. We're also in the same page all the time, right? And that allows us to be successful. I think I could feel your passion, and I'm pretty sure that the audience on the other side was able to feel it as well. Sorry, and I think that you mentioned some key things. Be strategic, do your research. Make a difference, right? Be flexible and listen to your customer. So I'm just, doing a short briefing of what you just said. And I really appreciate you, Melvin, and you having the time also to talk to the audience here in this episode of these podcast series that we're launching from Somati as a company. So, Melvin, as we come to a closing, would you have some closing remarks that you would like to share with the audience? Remember, we have people from Somati listening to us, but we also have customers and other people from around the world. Hopefully and potentially, we have students, faculty members, and other professionals in the ed tech industry who are listening to you. What would be some closing remarks that you would like the audience to go with today?
Oh, Raul. Just a little before I do any closing comments. The passion is something you transmit. Passion is something that you it comes from your heart, from what you believe, but it's also something that you notice from leadership. Like you said, your passion for Sumari has been contagious. And when I have the opportunity of listening to you talk, when I have the opportunity to listen to Francisco Perez, our product directors, talk about Sumari and how's he going to create this feature that I'm asking, that our commercial team is asking, hearing our operations and customer success, how they're treating our customers, and then getting messages from your customers saying, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for fixing, for giving, for doing whatever Sumari does different. That's what makes you wake up every day with the illusion of saying, how am I going to help an institution? How am I going to help a testing center? How am I going to help change the way a student perceives Sumari? How am I going to help facilitate the opportunity for a university, or the engagement of a university? So again, just thank you so much for the opportunity of sitting down here today, having this conversation, understanding where we are, how Sumari has been able to grow, where we are heading, because this is just the beginning. There's so much to come. There's so much to give. There's so many opportunities, and we know we can really make a difference regarding integrity for the universities, for testing centers, regarding the user experience, and regarding the concept of being an edtech company, not being a ticket, and not being a glitchy company, but the opportunity of really changing the concept of proctoring all over the world. So thank you so much for having me today, and I hope this is not the last time I'm here.
Thank you, Melvin. Thank you so much for your kind words. I wanted to give everybody the opportunity, everybody within this Mani team, the opportunity to give a message on what they have learned and what they bring to the team, right? And allow people like you, Melvin, to talk to the audience out there, right? This is just the beginning, as you just said, right? And there's a lot of things that we're discovering, that we have discovered, and that we will be discovering as a team together in the Somati journey. Thank you, Melvin, for always putting our customers and partners front and center, right? And thank you for helping us create such an amazing culture, so passionate within Somati. I want to thank the audience around the world listening to us. Thank you for connecting to this podcast. We will be bringing you more content, more guests in the future. And we hope that the material that we're putting out here for you is of your service and is useful for you. Feel free to join us every time you want to and you have the availability. Try to connect with us at somati.net. We will be able to respond to you as soon as possible. You can get a lot of information on what we're doing in our website. So, and also we have a team that is eager to respond to questions or just comments that you guys are wanting to share with us. So thank you again for another episode, and we hope to be joining you again today. Joining you again next week in another episode of this series. Thank you and goodbye for now.